I guess it's time for another Miata project. Well, I'm not going to use the words project here because, frankly, this is a really simple fix. Doing what I do kind of feels like an alcoholic running a liquor store. I'm a car guy. All the projects that I want to take on, I can fix in my head in 5 or 10 minutes. Real life is another story. And I have full auction access, which is a bad recipe, really. I mean, it's great, but it's bad, if you know what I mean. And I'm already at the auction buying Miatas for parts. I already searched Miatas within 500 or 600 miles of here because this is where most of my inventory comes from, is from the auction. So sometimes I see cars that are buildable, and most of the time they don't check all of the boxes. When I talk about checking boxes, I've been kind of looking for a Miata for myself. I've owned 100 or 150 of these cars at this point for parts. Some of them I fixed and sold and rescue missions, whatever. This is not a rescue mission. This is not a car that would have been parted out. My competition at the auction on a car like this was someone like myself or a used car lot or someone that wanted to fix this, flip it for some money. This is an 80,000 mile 2001 Miata SE, 6-speed manual, and it is not bad at all. I'm a little surprised that the insurance company totaled this car in the first place because for the most part, it's a super simple repair. I mean, for all of the part, it's a simple repair. But I feel like a lot of insurance companies weigh what they think they can get out of the auction versus their payout for the repair, and it might make more sense economically to just write the car off. I'm not in that industry. I'm just on the other end of it. So today, I think we're going to fix it. It's not a project. I know I say that, and I'm going to bite my tongue a little bit, but this is an easy one. When I talk about checking all the boxes, I mean, it's from a rust-free area, it's a manual, it's a special edition, it's a great color combination, and it's a salvage title car at this point, which means that I won't have any fear of driving it or keeping it clean. I can park it outside if I want to, although I probably won't. And the repair is going to be really simple because it needs a fender and a door. That's why it's totaled. And I understand that there could be hidden damage. There's always something hiding behind what you can see. And I think the reason this car was actually totaled was these scratches and a little dent. Somebody put this ding protection. So this is pushed in just a little bit. But I'm pretty sure I can take this to a PDR guy and they can get that out, or at least make it look a lot better. So today we're going to hang a door and a fender on this and essentially untotal the car. The reason I'm doing this at this point and not later is I have to get that blue 328 inspected so that I can turn the title into a prior salvage title. And it's a lot easier to do 2 cars than it is to do 1 car. So this is the other car to do. We're going to get this thing fixed so that I can get it inspected. Now I know what you're thinking. Eric, why are you working on your driveway? You have a garage. You are right. I do have a garage. And I could get this in there. It's not a problem, but we are in late February and it's like 65 degrees outside, and I'm a big fan of nice days. So I'm doing this outside because I like to enjoy the sun on occasion. So with the wheel off, now we can get the fender liner out so we have access to the bolts on the inside. We're going to do a little bit of prying to get access to the bolt that's behind here, but this shouldn't be too bad. I'm really hoping the hinges aren't bent or where the hinges bolt to the firewall aren't bent, but we can straighten that if need be. It's not a big deal. Pull this front inner fender. Well, you have to drill that one out. Pretty common to break. Can't really get those hot because there's plastic all around them. Can't get to the backside to spray some
penetrator
in there because the backside's inside the frame. And the inner fender is out. Next, we're going to get the lower fender bolt out. Next, there's a bolt that holds the fender to the bumper on the corner. It's actually a screw. And we're out. Let's see what it takes to get this off here. Definitely don't want to rip the front bumper, but there is a clip right here. Let me get a flathead screwdriver. And that should be good enough to get that out. We've got two 10 millimeters right here. I think I can sneak those out without having to pull the bumper any further off. Next, I need to get the bolt. It's hiding right there. And I think what I'm gonna have to do is pry this out a little bit. Yeah, it definitely bent the bracket too. So that's gonna be fun. All right, I've got a swivel socket that hopefully can make its way onto that bracket. I don't know, that's pretty bent in there. I'll just bend it out a little bit and everything will be fine. I don't need to get it off, I just need to get it loose. So the fender is slotted there. Great success. Now while we have the same tool, we'll get the upper fender bolt. I don't want to scratch the door. That one can stay put because it is also slotted. And then everything else is just these 4 10 millimeter bolts. And I think that's it. Well, this makes me quite happy. The only actual damage back here is this. And we can knock that back into place pretty easily. This bracket, this hinge is not bent at the firewall. Same here. This is what I was really concerned with because you could see there was some force on the door structure, which usually translates to this area, but I think the hit was light enough where it didn't bend this. These often do bend in this area, but you can usually pull them out to get the doors on and open and close correctly. And I'm not sure whether I'm going to swap hinges or not because this door fits perfectly back here. I have no reason to suspect the door hinges are bent. But we're going to get the door off next, but we got to strip it down first. The first thing I'm going to do is remove the door panel. And the door panel is off. Next, I'm going to continue stripping the door. We'll get this moisture barrier out of the way. We'll get the speaker out. Start there. I could strip this on the ground just as easily, but the car is holding it up. So, and now we're going to carefully remove this because I don't know how it is on the other door. So if I need to move this over, that's what I'd like to do. It has this butyl tape. It's real sticky and messy. Get these out of the way here. And it's off. The next thing I'm going to do is fish out the power door mirror connector, which is right here. So we're going to remove the mirror next. Next, we're going to pull the mirror off the door. 2 large Phillips screws. Let's see if we can get these loose. Oh yeah. Alright, well the mirror came out pretty easily once the screws are out. These screws don't always come out that easy. Make sure you have a number 3 Phillips when removing. Before I disconnect the wiring harness on the door, I want to get the window regulator out. I'm going to lower the door to where I can have access to the 1, 2, 3 bolts that hold the glass in. We have a stop here. Come on now. There we are. Glass is out. And the last thing I'd like to take out of the door before we take the door off the car is the door handle. It's got a wiring harness. Wiring harness, I believe, is fully disconnected. Now it is. Now we have 2 10s to remove. Next, we're going to get the door stay pin out. Just give it a couple. And we're out. Now we need to disconnect the harness from the body. This can be a little tricky at times. You don't want to pry on it. You just want to peel the boot back. That's the goal. Just like so. And then there's little tabs. Because this thing is wrecked, it's a little tighter in here, but we can get this out far enough, I'm sure. And we are disconnected. All right, now we're going to unbolt the door. And it is latched, but it's okay. I can unlatch it. And we're off. The next step is to straighten out this bracket. We're going to do that with a couple hammers. Next, I'm going to bolt this piece of scrap metal onto this, just loosely. We just need some leverage on this. So it is pushed in just a little in this area. I'm going to try to pull that out because if I leave it like that, it might be a little on the shallow side. When I go to, you can just go in there. Let's see. That's good enough for me. At this point, we're ready to go back on with some parts. Yeah, I guess I need parts to put this thing back together. Where would I ever find a door in this color? I have no idea. It's almost like I might have had it already. Let's see if we can hang this door. I think what I'm going to try to do is get it in the latch and at the hinges at the same time. Okay, we're latched. Get these started. I'm going to just snug these up a little bit, plug in the harness, and then open and close the door a few times, see how we're at. Pretty decent here. I cannot believe I got this even close on the first try. So I'm pretty content with that. I'm just going to get them snug. We'll likely have to make some more adjustments once the fender goes on. It was pretty decent for no time, essentially. Where would I ever get a fender this color? Oh, yeah. Boy, we're about done. I mean, we're not really done. This gap's gonna need a little bit of work. So we're gonna bolt this to this, and I'm just gonna walk it forward. Just like so. Doesn't have to go far. Let's try that again. Well, it's better. I could get some bolts in it now. Yeah, this part back here is still a little unhappy. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna loosely put a couple bolts at the top. Just to kind of keep it in place. All right, we're gonna open the door. Hopefully it doesn't catch on the fender. I said we're going to open the door. Did I lock it? Probably the door will need some more adjustment, I think. Man, that is pretty good. I'm used to my projects fighting me a lot harder than this. This is up just a hair. No, it's not. Guys, I think we're ready to bolt this thing in. As crazy as that sounds, so it's fitting pretty decently. Some gaps at the headlights that I'll need to address. A little tight compared to down there, but the bottom of the fender isn't bolted in, so that will be adjusted. Next, I'm going to get the pin for the door stay. Little. Seems to work pretty good. Gaps at the door. A little far out on the bottom here. First, I'm going to loosen the bolts at the lower hinge and pull the door in a little bit. It's out about 1/16 of an inch, maybe a little further. Yeah, still too far out down here. I spent a few minutes trying to get the bottom of this door flush. It's not bad. That's as close as I think I can get it. But then I decided to go look at the other side. And it's the same on the other side, which means I've been trying to fix a problem that isn't a problem. Let's see how the hood closes and see what that gap looks like. It's pretty good. It might be a diminishing return trying to get this any closer. The next thing I'm going to do is throw the 2 bolts in the lower part of the fender. Before I get those tight, I'm going to loosen the top corner here and see if that affects anything. This all looks pretty good up here. I don't know if I really want to mess with it. Let's close that hood and see what happens. I'm good. I'm happy with that. Next, I'm going to get the lower fender bolts in. All right, now let's see how she closes. It's pretty good gaps. Yeah. I like that a lot better. Still a little bit of a gap right here. It doesn't exist on the other side. But it is a lot better than it was. I think I'm going to call it at that. Cinch everything down. Before I forget, let's get this bolt or nut tight. Close this. Shuts nice. Gap's decent. See how close that door gets to that. Yeah, that's pretty good. I'm going to try to get this door put back together. Remnants of the old door handle. We trust the speaker that was in there. This is pulled back to get the door handle out. Let's key on and see if this regulator works. Yes, it does. It's got good bushings in it. There's no need to swap any of that stuff out. And this is enough room for me to connect the door handle and all of its associated wiring. I don't love this. I'm probably going to replace this. This is in pretty bad shape. It's not too bad. All right, we'll get that door handle tight. I can hook up the rods. I can't get you guys in here if I wanted to, sorry. This is tight working quarters. I'm going by feel. I'm failing by feel. One rod. There's 2. Well, I had a little bit of straightening up to do on the harness. There was some stuff that wasn't in the retainer, wasn't in the right spot. So now I can put this one from the original door back in. It's not as ripped open as the last one was. There is a process to all of this. Yeah, that's pretty good. Okie dokie, I think we're ready to go back on with the door panel. You know what I did forget to do? Put this back in place. At least I didn't get too far. That would have been terrible. I don't know how, I would have found that and thought about that every time I drove the car. I know, I'm weird. No, I would have just pulled the door panel back off. Easy enough. That's really important to get that vapor barrier in place when putting the door panel on, because if you don't have access to your holes, don't take that the wrong way, but if you don't have access to the holes designed to let the bolts and hardware pass through, it makes it a lot of fun. You have to force it through there. It's just not the right way. Okay, well, that part of it's done. Let's make sure it opens and closes. I locked it. The other side's open. Fear not!
The gaps are pretty decent. I'm pretty content with the way this turned out. This is still really dirty. I'm going to wipe this down next. The gaps are pretty similar to the gaps on the other side of this car. Door fits well. Everything works. I spent some time last night and drilled out the broken off bolts for the splash guard. It's a super common problem. Those break off, gets lots of rust and stuff in there. So that's been drilled and tapped, new bolt. Didn't need to feed it too many clips, not a lot of broken hardware. It's an easy fix. Some of you may have noticed the wax pen circle here. There's a ding right here. Anytime we inventory a car, doesn't matter if it's a Miata or not, when there's dings and dents on body panels, we mark them and photo those marks, so that way there's no surprises when a body shop or a person gets them. Now I'm going to wipe this down real quick, get it cleaned up. It's still got to go to detail, so it'll look better after I'm done. I mean, after he's done. So it cleaned up pretty nice. Obviously, with some paint correction, it's going to look a lot better. It needs a little bit of PDR. There's a dent right there. The ding that was marked on the door, that needs to be addressed. If I decide to go that far, there's some adhesive from some crash wrap here and here. Some chips and stuff. It's a builder, essentially. This is a prior salvage title car. So I'm not really going to go too crazy. We'll pull the rest of this trim off. Some scratches. It's still a decent car. And I know what you guys already thought. Well, it's got hit in the wheel. And yes, it did. There's some marks in the wheel. But it drives straight. I'm going to take it to the alignment shop, place I use for alignments. And if it's off, we'll throw some parts at it. If it's not, which I don't think it is, because it drives perfect, I'll be good. I'm really happy with the way this turned out. I'm also happy this only took about 3 hours to fix. Would have been even faster without my camera, but I'm not complaining. I just wanted to show you guys what I do in my spare time. Spare time. No, there's no such thing. This was a very simple fix, but it's also not the type of repair that most body shops would tackle. Body shops, when you supply them with used body panels, which they don't always love, they're going to fix everything that's wrong with them. All the chips, all the dings, all the scratches, previous repair, and then they're going to repaint those panels and blend the panels that are neighboring the panels that you have supplied them, which means it's an expensive repair. And that's not a knock at body shops. Body shops have a standard to uphold. I don't have standards. No, that's not what I meant. What I mean is I'm okay with some dings and scratches which match the dings and scratches on the rest of this 23-year-old car. But when a body shop takes it on, it's either going to be as good as they can make it, in most cases, or they don't want to do it because they don't want to put their name on something that is not done 100%. This is not a 100% repair. This is a repair that's on par with the rest of the car, and I'm happy with it. This was a cheap repair. I'm a huge advocate of finding cars that need parts that you already have or you know you can source cheaply. I often look at the auction for all kinds of cars and trucks that are easy fixers for people I know that need a car. If they're down on their luck, they want to get into something cheap and they can put in the work to fix. We can find them at the auction, use the panels that I may have in stock or whatever I have in stock, and then they have a car on the road for cheap. This happens multiple times a year. In this case, it's for me. I didn't need this car, and I have it. That's to be said about almost everything I own. I really hope you enjoyed this very short, conclusive video. As always, I love all the comments, all the feedback, and even the criticism. I love it all, and I'll catch you on the next one.